This was the highest scoring team that you could have had in fantasy football in week 2 of the NFL season. Starting off with your quarterback, if you had Jared Goff, he scored a massive 33.96 points as he torched the Bears defense. They put up 50 points on the Bears just to show that week 1 was a fluke, and he certainly proved his point. He's now the ranked 6th quarterback and will probably stay pretty high this season. At your running back 1 spot, you should have had Jonathan Taylor. He scored 29.5 points as the Colts went on to win their 2nd game under Danny Dimes. He's now the ranked 6th running back, and we're going to see this year if he can get back to his prime self. At the running back 2 spot, you should have had James Cook. He scored 26.5 points as the Bills went on to kill the Jets. Anything I said about the Jets in the past week can now go down the drain. I may have been mistaken when I said they were a good team, as that was embarrassing. At your wide receiver 1 spot, you should have had Amon-Ra St. Brown. Another aspect of that Bears game, he scored 39.2 points and is now the 3rd ranked wide receiver in the entirety of fantasy. At your wide receiver 2 spot, you should have had Malik Nabers. He put up 37.7 points, and the Giants actually looked decent on offense, even though they still lost to the Cowboys. It's hard to be mad at that loss. Malik Nabers is now the number 2 wide receiver, and he's young, so he could probably stay pretty high this season. At your tight end spot, you should have had Tucker Kraft. He scored 24.4 points. He is now the ranked 1 tight end in the entirety of fantasy. I expect him to stay pretty high, maybe not all the way at number 1, but he's definitely going to have a big year this year. I'd expect to see him on this list a couple more times. At your flex spot, you should have had Jamar Chase. He has now made his first appearance. The number 1 wide receiver from last year had a great game, 36.5 points in the Bengals' comeback win over the Jaguars. However, with Jake Browning at the QB spot for the next 3 months, it'll be interesting to see where Jamar Chase goes. Right now, he's the ranked 6th wide receiver in the league. Hope he can stay up in those rankings. At your defense spot, you should have had the Falcons, who are now the number 1 defense in the league. They scored 21 points as they held the Minnesota Vikings to 6 points this week. This is only their first appearance, but they also had a good week in week 1, so maybe they'll be a team to look out for on the waiver wire. And at your kicker spot, it comes as no surprise, Brandon Aubrey has made his first appearance here in week 2. 23 points this week, just an average week for this kicker. He's now the number 1 in the league, and I'd imagine he's going to stay there for a great majority of the year. He was on here a lot last year, and 23 points, believe it or not, is nothing extraordinary for him. In total, if you had all of these guys on your team this week, you would have scored 271.76 points, would have blown out any other opponent you played in the league. As you can see, this team was only projected 125 points, and that's about what the average score was in leagues this week. But this team absolutely outdid themselves, most people doing double what they were projected. And even if you only had a couple of these guys on your team, you probably still won in your league. Let me know down in the comments below, did you have any of these guys on your team, and did you win with them? Unfortunately, this was not a very doable team because all of these wide receivers were round 1 picks, but I'm sure someone could have had a lot of these people on their team. And if you did enjoy this video, please do subscribe and come back next week for week 3.